Okay, what we'd like to show you here is a basic double-ended wrench kit that Earls offers. Most double-ended wrench kits that you see on the market do not have the socket sizes on the wrench. They only have the nut sizes. The nut of the hose end is the part that swivels. The socket is the part that assembles to the hose. The socket size is always slightly different than the nut size. The socket size for a Dash 8 is not the nut size for a Dash 8, as you can see. It's a little bit loose. So you would have to go to a Dash 8 nut size. Now, on the larger hose ends, they have these nuts here, the B nut, and the socket size. The only nuts that you want to know about for assembly purposes are the B nut and the socket. If you've got socket size for this wrench, you've got the nut size. If you've got the socket size for this hose end, you've got the wrench size for the B nut of the next hose end up. Now what we like to do also with our vise, let's get a close-up here of the vise. We don't like to use the aluminum jaws because the aluminum jaws tend to slip off when you're tightening down larger hose ends. What we like to do is just buy some steel bar stock. 4130 works real good. This here is actually tooling steel we get from the local scrap yard. We just drill the holes in it and we mounted it to the old vise jaw locations. And this will not transfer material to the aluminum sockets because steel to aluminum doesn't leave a mark like aluminum to aluminum does over time. If we ran aluminum hose ends into an aluminum vise, eventually the powder would eat into the hose end and the hose ends would come out marked up. So we like to use steel to steel, or steel to aluminum, excuse me, and we don't tighten it too much, and that will hold it in there where we can work on it real well and we can pull it out, and as you can see there's no markings and it's just really, really clean. Now we'll come over to the cutting area. Only thing you'll need to work on these hoses at home is a mason's chisel. We like to use one with a wide blade so we can work with the bigger hose. It has a hand guard on it. We sharpen the blade with the bench grinder and it gets a very sharp finish on there. We like to use a block of aluminum for the blade to rest on. The block of aluminum allows the blade to cut through the braid. We also like to put it on the leg of a bench so that there's less deflection when we hit it. And we like to use a 3 to 5 pound sledgehammer to cut it. Now this in particular here is some Dash 10. Performaflex is a very popular hose end for oil systems. We'll show you how easy it is to cut here. You gotta eat your Wheaties. And as you can see, it's a perfectly clean cut, no fray. The braid is bonded directly to the rubber. No dust. There's no foreign debris in the hose. It's a perfectly clean cut. We'll take that over here and we have the tapered end of the hose socket. The tapered end is the end the hose will go into. And we just put a little bit of tension here on it with the vise. Obviously that isn't going to go in very cleanly because it's a little bit on the large side. So we just take a flat blade screwdriver, a small flat blade screwdriver, and we use it as a shoehorn to shoehorn the braid in. You can see it comes in very handy. The rest is up to your hands. Push the hose in. And as you can see, the braid is just slightly under the last thread of the socket. And then we're going to take the hose end, putting the hex of the hose end into the vise. And we like to use some gear oil. Any motor oil, gear oil works real good. Put a little lube on there, get that pin into that hole, and screw it on. Then we go to our trusty assembly wrench. We have the Dash 10 socket, and this is for a Dash 12 nut. The socket is the red portion, as everybody knows, and that works just fine. And that's it. The tools of the trade.